Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio, and today we are going to be examining John Logan's guest essay that he wrote in the New York Times some time ago. Now, I don't remember exactly when I said I would be getting to this, but we're going to be getting to this today, and it is, I wrote James Bond movies, the Amazon MGM deal gives me chills. So let's just go ahead and we'll start right here. So Amazon now owns 50% of 007. With the acquisition of MGM and its movie catalog, the online retail giant bought into the James Bond franchise. When I heard this news, a chill went through me. Having worked as a writer on Skyfall and Spectre, I know that Bond isn't just another franchise, not a Marvel or a DC. It is a family business that has been carefully nurtured and shepherded through the changing times by the Broccoli-Wilson family. Work sessions on Skyfall and Spectre were like hearty discussions around the dinner table, with Barbara Broccoli and her half-brother Michael Wilson letting all the unruly children talk. Even every crazy aunt or eccentric uncle was given a voice. We discussed and debated and came to a resolution, as families must, with no outside voices in the room. When you work on Bond movies, you're not just an employee, you're part of that family. I absolutely hate that line of like, oh, you're not just an employee when you work here, you're family. Kind of that whole like bullshit with Olive Garden.
The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
That food was all very salty.
And to me, thinking about that is just too sad, so I'm just going to move on. The reason we're still watching Bond movies after more than 50 years is that the family has done an extraordinary job of protecting the character through the thickets of movie making and changing public taste. Corporate partners come and go, this is true. But James Bond endures. He endures precisely because he is being protected by people who love him. If I'm not mistaken, I believe United Artists first held the distribution rights to Bond, and then when they went bankrupt is when MGM came in and took over, and now MGM is apparently selling to Amazon. We'll see if that deal even goes through. The current deal with Amazon gives Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, who own 50% of the Bond empire, ironclad assurances of continued artistic control. But will this always be the case? What happens if a bruising corporation like Amazon begins to demand a voice in the process? What happens to comradeship and quality control if there's an Amazonian overlord with analytics parsing every decision? What happens when a focus group reports they don't like Bond drinking martinis? Well, Bond drinks Heinekens now, so your point is rather moot here. Or killing quite so many people. And that English accent's a bit alienating. So could we have more Americans in the story for marketability? Okay, I think he's exaggerating here, where, you know, making Bond an American versus being British, or, you know, taking away the dry vodka martini, shaken not stirred. But I do get his point here. You know, what happens if Amazon now goes, no, we now want more control in the process? How far are they willing to go to change for more quote-unquote marketability? If you think I'm exaggerating, consider some internal polling data that decreed that the movie adaptation of Sweeney Todd, for which I wrote the screenplay, would be much more popular without all those annoying songs. For those that don't know, Sweeney Todd was a Broadway musical before being turned into a movie. That's what he's referencing to. I wish that he had, I wish he had brought that up in the guest essay itself, because there are some people that truly don't know that Sweeney Todd was a musical, was a Broadway musical before it was ever turned into the movie with Johnny Depp. From my experience, here's what happens to movies when such concerns start invading the creative process. Everything is watered down to the most anodyne and easily consumable version of itself. The movie becomes an inoffensive shadow of a thing, not the thing itself. There are no more rough edges or flights of cinematic madness. The fire and passion are gradually drained away as original ideas and voices are subsumed by commercial concerns, corporate oversight, and polling data. I wonder whether such an ultra studio movie as Vertigo would have survived if such pressures existed then. Not to mention radical films like Citizen Kane, The Red Shoes, Cabin in the Sky, and Bonnie and Clyde. Well, and the thing that John Logan he just described every major Hollywood blockbuster movie here. There are no more rough edges or flights of cinematic madness. That's been every major Hollywood blockbuster now for the past damn near 20 years at this point. Why worry about Amazon? It's not that it's a bad faith company. Well, some people are going to disagree with that sentiment, but that's probably more for just New York Times trying to please them for other things. I think it's a global technology company with more than $1.6 trillion market capitalization that produces on a mass scale and is obsessed with the quote-unquote customer experience. It's not necessarily a champion or guardian of artistic creativity or original entertainment. In the context of the larger company, Amazon Prime Video is not chiefly about artists, it's about attracting and retaining customers. And when bigger companies start having a say in iconic characters or franchises, the companies tend to want more, not better, and the quality differential can vary wildly project to project. See the rapidly expanding Star Wars franchise at Disney, with all those fucking TV shows now, and the DC Comics franchises of Superman, Batman, and others at Warner Brothers. Well, why not the MCU? I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe basically devolved into that too. Disney wanted more and more, and like they pointed out, they tend to want more, not better movies, and the quality can vary wildly from movie to movie. As a screenwriter, I've had the opportunity to work on several big studio movies. Those that emerge with meaning, with art, and uniqueness intact are always those that are protected from undue corporate influence. Those occasions when the movie makers can work in a protected environment. In my case, films like Gladiator, The Aviator, and he's referring to The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio, not that shitty movie with Christopher Reeve. I know, and I'm only bringing up that version of The Aviator because there's always going to be that one guy that goes, well, with regards to The Aviator, are you talking about the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, or are you talking the one with Christopher Reeve? So I'm just bringing up the Christopher Reeve for that one inevitable person who's gonna bug the shit out of me. Where was I? In my case, films like Gladiator, The Aviator, Sweeney Todd, Rango, which Rango was a damn good movie, and I did review it back on my older channel, and I'm thinking about revisiting it too sometime down the line. And Hugo were all made from passion and without ever worrying about synergy or spin-offs or cross-platform marketing. Artistic control and stewardship are especially vital to big movies, where the voices are many and the stakes huge. When we were making Gladiator, it took a giant like the director Ridley Scott to fend off the countless naysayers who predicted disaster would befall our, quote, sword and sandal epic. They question everything, especially the ending. Isn't it a bummer? How can we have a sequel if you kill the hero? Spoiler alert, Russell Crowe dies. And is there any way we could avoid an R rating? But Ridley believed in the story we were telling and how we were telling it, so he resolutely kept the commercial concerns and noisy corporate voices outside the door. So too, Martin Scorsese with our Howard Hughes biopic, The Aviator. A subject like Mr. Hughes naturally invites controversy and high emotion. The push from outside the creative circle was for the lurid and sensational, but Marty stared down every challenge that threatened our more humane version of the story. He sometimes said, yes, that would make an interesting Howard Hughes movie, but that's not our Howard Hughes movie. Significantly, in the case of both Gladiator and The Aviator, we were working with brave producers who defended our choices. They cared more about the art than about the bottom line. So when you're making a movie, you need a champion to fight battles like these. Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson are the champions of James Bond. They keep the corporate and commercial pressures outside the door, nor are they motivated by them. And one of the biggest mistakes that they're making right now is they're not having James Bond take on the Chinese, but that's neither here nor there. I've already brought that up in other James Bond videos. That's why we don't have a mammoth Bond cinematic universe with endless anemic variations of 007 sprouting up on TV or streaming or in the spin-off movies. The Bond movies are truly the most bespoke and handmade films I've ever worked on. That's why they are original, thorny, eccentric, and special. Well, I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't argue that for the Daniel Craig movies. Anything, like any Bond movie from Dr. No up through Die Another Day, with a couple of exceptions, I say fit that description. Original, thorny, eccentric, and special. But the Daniel Craigs, no, it's, hey, those Jason Bourne movies got really popular. Let's make Jason Bourne. They were never created with lawyers and accountants and e-commerce mass marketing posters hovering in the background. This is also why they can afford to be daring. Here's an example from Skyfall, my favorite day working on the movie, in fact. Sam Mendes, the director, and I marched into Barbara and Michael's office, set up the family table, and pitched the first scene between Bond and the villain, Raul Silva. Now, the moment 007 first encounters his arch nemesis is often the iconic moment in a Bond movie, the scene around which you can build a lot of the narrative and cinematic rhythms. Think about Bond first meeting Dr. No or Goldfinger or Blofeld, all classic scenes in the franchise. Well, Sam and I boldly announced that we wanted to do this pivotal scene as a homoerotic seduction. Barbara and Michael didn't need to pull a focus group. They didn't need to vet this radical idea with any studio or corporation. They loved it instantly. They knew it was fresh and new, provocative in a way that keeps the franchise contemporary. They weren't afraid of controversy. In my experience, not many big movies can work with such freedom and risky joy, but with the Broccoli Wilson family at the helm, Bond is allowed to provoke, grow, and be idiosyncratic. Long may that continue. James Bond has survived the Cold War, Goldfinger, Jaws, Disco, and Ernst Stavro Blofeld several times. And I can only hope that the powers that be at Amazon recognize the uniqueness of what they just acquired and allow and encourage this special family business to continue unobstructed. Bond's not content, and he's not a mere commodity. He has been a part of our lives for decades now, from Sean Connery to George Lazenby to Roger Moore to Timothy Dalton to Pierce Brosnan to Daniel Craig. Okay, so he listed off every actor. Shit, I just thought of his name and it slipped my mind. Was it David Niven? Was James Bond in 67's Casino Royale? I believe so. Well, also to be fair, 1967's Casino Royale had many different 007s, but that was more of a spoof movie than anything, so, whatever. We all grew up with our version of 007, so we care deeply about him. Please let 007 drink his martinis in peace. Don't shake him. Don't stir him. But see, I thought Mr. Bond liked his martini stirred and not shaken. So how do I feel about this? Well, I think some of these concerns are a bit overblown. Especially when you consider the fact that he even brings up that the Broccoli family still retains creative control over the franchise, unless if they're willing to sell that off too, for whatever reason. Like if Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson are ever done, we just want to dump this franchise and get rid of it, then yeah, Amazon would have more of a say. But I think the ultimate fear is that, are Amazon and the Broccoli family going to be butting heads, and is that going to lead to James Bond movies slowing down? I think that's truly the bigger concern going forward with the Amazon MGM deal. And guys, that's all I've got for you right now. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you guys have been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos, so I will just see you guys next time.